Take 3. Welcome to Millennia. Be ye man, woman, child, be ye spirit, creature, demon, be ye native, migrator, or invader. Solid intro. Welcome to Millennia. I am your host, the Millennian Mailman, and I will be world building for you long after you have begun to acclimate and fit in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy me getting in to this wacky Wednesday, or shall we say, hot take hump day. All right. Hot take hump day. I do the hot take. The hot take of the week is in regards to therapist and therapy. But I will interject fun facts. Today will be a day of fun facts, and I'll start out with the fun facts and end on my hot take. Fun fact of the day, and let's just say the week, will be: it is illegal to walk along the highway. Why? Because it's considered a restricted roadway. If you walk along the highway, be in the middle of it or on the shoulder, it is an illegal activity. So it is a crime. So with you walking along the highway, if you ever run into car troubles and find yourself out of gasoline, you didn't fill up and you didn't have enough gas as you thought you did in order to get to the next exit, you would then thus be committing 4 crimes minimum, a minimum of 4 different crimes if you walk along the highway to refuel with a gas canister. You'll have the crime of abandoning the vehicle, 1. You'd have the crime of leaving the vehicle, abandonment. But the second one would be you walking away from the vehicle. Now you're walking along the restricted access roadway. That's a crime. And whenever you walk back with your gas canister to put more gas in your tank, that's crime, another crime. And then there'd also be the crime of, there would be the tack-on crime of being a potential distraction that ends up causing traffic to back up. So now you abandoned the vehicle, you walked away from and back to the vehicle, and then you were a potential distraction that caused other accidents and backups along the highway. So it's very much a crime to walk along the highway, no matter which direction you're going. So most unfortunate for you if your vehicle gets caught along the side, at least here in the state of Florida. So sucks to suck, too bad for you. That's your fun fact of the day. Be more careful and mindful of where and when you are and how much gas you have when you do get on the highway. The more you know, the more you know. Back to the main topic from Devil's Advocate. Therapy and therapists are good, but they're not a good thing for good people. If anyone gets distracted by the fact that I look down, not looking directly into a camera a lot, I'm a writer and I like to be on topic. So call me quirky, call me weird and stupid. I will not take offense to it. But I do write down a lot of the things I talk about, at least when I have a topic. If I have a specific topic I'm going to talk about, I probably have it written down first. So I will be reading along these lines and then discussing it with you, whether you like it or not. So, yeah. Yeah. Hot take. Therapy is good, but it isn't a good thing for good people. I already talked on Monday, kept it mild, the general gist of it, where it stems from, and its biggest infamies. But I'll get more into that today. Going down. Most people seeking out and voluntarily talking to a therapist is just in need of counseling. So you should all of those people who go to a therapist themselves without being ordered to by a courtroom, you probably would have had better, more effective help going to a counselor. That's the hot take. That's the personal opinion there. You probably just needed a counselor. Yeah. Not you should still have been in counseling, but it should have been with a counselor, not just a therapist. Therapy is all about the legitimately moral criminal corruption and trying to fix that disease of particular persons of interest. So the list of people who should be in therapy with therapists would be like modern politicians. They might need therapy to help them continue making good ethical and moral choices. Not your average Joe and Sarah going about their usual day of the week. But other than that, nah, you don't need to question the moral and ethical choices of Joe and Sarah making choices, protecting themselves, or just doing what they should be on the work site. They're having marital problems. Hashtag marital counseling. Talk to each other. Maybe have a normal, actual neutral third party, and shut up. If you have to ask the question to someone, do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this is a bad thing? How about you actually talk to a counselor? Get their opinion rather than a therapist who, I don't know, I'm just saying. Therapy with therapists was coined for the treatment of the medical disease of the unacceptable insanity of criminals and the criminally corrupt. It was branched out to interact with normal people so that the professional therapist of choice had that controlled group to self-reflect and address or use as the rationalization with for the justification or justifying evidence when they get into the therapy opportunity with criminals. So therapist, the science and scientist aspect of therapist, the only reason they would talk to normal people was for their own particular studies. They would branch it out to, hey, your average Joe, Schmo, and Sarah. It was for the fact that, hey, I'm talking to you because you are normal. I sought you out as any proper professional would. I'm seeking you out to get your opinions because there's nothing wrong with you. You are fine. That is what therapists and therapy branched out to regulars for. They branched out for the scientific control group to benefit and stabilize their findings, not to further incriminate the average Joe and Sarah, but to use them as a good example. So when we find our good examples willfully going to therapist instead of just allowing the therapist to seek them out, you're really more just incriminating yourselves. Like, hey, there's something very, very wrong with me, and I am no better than the criminals in prison that the courts would come to you to figure out what's wrong with or fix. I need the fixing you did with them to happen on me. Bit of a weird take, but I hope that makes sense. So, yes, therapy with therapist was for the treatment of the medical disease of unacceptable insanity. People go to therapy nowadays not realizing that they are quite literally subjecting themselves to the psychological warfare tactics that therapists are trained to passively utilize in order to be more convincing and effective in their interactions with criminal mentalities. That's what they are needed and requiring a million different credentials and PhDs in order to even have the title of therapist. They do all that education in order to permit them and validate their ability to talk to the genuinely unacceptable, insane criminal mentalities. Counselors don't need that many documentations outside of certain certifications in order to verify they are good at teaching and working with children. Hashtag guidance counseling, right? But no one wants to hear that. Da 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 da. Therapist, the title and the profession of therapist is a part of the medical medicinal fields, and they have access or at bare minimum the sway in drug distribution, because if they can't procure it in order to provide it to you directly, they always have that opportunity and credibility for proper referrals to directly give you access to those drugs and pharmaceuticals that would otherwise be literally inaccessible to you. Be the therapist dealing with criminals exclusively, or just abnormal personnel, they have access and referral credentials and capabilities with drugs because they are a part of the medical field professionals. So when you go into an office with a therapist, their end all be all is to fix you. It's like, hey, I'm going to fix you because there's something wrong with you. That's why I have permission to recommend you this and give you these particular drugs and therapeutic options, because you will not walk out of here without me determining, hey, you need one or the other. Because the fact that you're in here proves that you need something that you don't already got. So, yes, therapist is a part of the medical field. Counselors aren't, which is why they don't necessarily have that sway. If a counselor would determine like, hey, what we're doing here isn't really working, isn't really have the effect it may apparently need you, the counselor would refer you to a therapist or other resources in order to help you get better or change the way you want to be changed. A therapist is going to help you change the way they themselves deem and necessary for you to change, not necessarily the way you want to be changed or are hoping to. Again, with the therapist, there is the reasons to be there. Just going down the list of examples of what would is normal and abnormal. So therapists deal with things that aren't normal or deemed acceptable and okay. People who have intrusive thoughts or need spiritual discipline, people who just need standards, planning, or guidance, people who have suicidal ideations or want social interactive conversation, people who are introversive and extroversive, or just think they need or want intervention, outside help. to intervene in their life so they can finally decide to change or be different. Those are normal. Yes, having suicidal ideations and intrusive thoughts to do bad things that you don't follow through with, it is normal. It happens all the time. It happens to everyone. What isn't normal is having suicidal attempts, needing interventions, like the actual need, like a drug addict has a need to have others intervene because they cannot or will not themselves. Participating in physical and sexual violence, attempted or failed suicides, being known as a habitual offender, someone who can't stop doing something. Those are abnormal conditions that you would seek a therapist for. Everything else is normal that would thus deem you needing to go to a genuine counselor for counseling. Because counselors deal with people with normal problems. Therapists should be dealing exclusively people with abnormal problems. Again, the difference being you need a therapist if you need intervention because you are considered like a habitual offender. You need a therapist when you start having and more than just desires, but the follow through with certain physical and sexual violence crimes. When you need a therapist when you attempt and fail attempts at suicide. You need a counselor if you have innate desire or thoughts that you might need some intervention. You just need a counselor if, or at least the right counselor, if you're having suicidal ideations or intrusive thoughts that bother you. If you're bothered by something, it's normal to be bothered by the world around you. Get a counselor, get some help. You don't need a medical professional to force you to do any and everything if you just need to get some help. If you need help, that's normal. It takes a village to do yada yada, as this phrase goes. So it's totally okay that you feel you need help sometimes. Get a counselor. You need spiritual discipline or guidance, standards, planning, assistance. All of it's normal. Get yourself a counselor. But far too many people are skipping the proper order and seeking therapist help. Therapists don't help you. Therapists, their whole job description is about actually making change. But when you go to a therapist for counseling, you're not really going to get the help you think you're going to make those changes. You're going to get put down this rabbit hole loop of I will change you and it will work, or we will continue forcing you to change until I feel comfortable and fine. And also down that rabbit hole, I want to at least finish this page, going down the what is the biggest infamy of therapist and therapy would be that whole literal oppression of women back in the day. Tuna castor oil, and just start sending them out because of disobedience in the home. Yeah. And getting down to that big infamy, I identified a number of things here. Back in the day, people would get sent to prison and given the electric chair for being wife beaters and whatnot, and cop killers. people would just straight be given the electric care. Meanwhile, side by side, we have the therapist over here administering electroshock therapy for two women who would be irate in the home. So they would like, hey, we have this thing called electroshock therapy. We're gonna negatively reinforce you or positively reinforce you in order to sway your mind into changing with your actions. Right next to these people, of course, who are getting the electric chair of impending doom because they beat their wives or they killed a cop. Death sentence. That's all that about. Because therapists are scientists. There was the medical therapist ideal of lobotomies being done as well. It was initiated through therapists as a therapeutic action to be taken. Back then, women would be given and administered lobotomy for, hey, let's just do this and see what happens, because this girl is denying her husband sex, or this girl is in a highly rebellious stage in her life where she's not listening to her parents, or this and that and such and the third, right next to the rapist getting lobotomized for the German and French case studies on the dirty minds of perverts. So yes, we're have these side by sides of the same time frame periods of subjectively therapeutic therapist ideals and studies right next to one another, where lobotomy was equally used to uncorrupt and as a punishment upon sex offenders in these case studies about the dirty mind of perverts, next to these women who don't have an apparent high enough sex drive for their partners. The women totally just needed counseling, be it marriage counseling or whatever. They just needed counseling. Try to get to that underlying answer of why, vice them being put in the psych wards, subjected to medical my handwriting's so small I can't even read it. Women were being subjected to the same medical practices and euthanasias and lobotomist torture as actual criminals. So going back to it, I don't think most therapy is good for good people, although it is a good attempt at trying to correct the bad nature of bad people. It is good for therapy, and therapists are good for bad people. Not necessarily good thing for good people to get involved in. But yeah, and the last example here would be women who talked back ended up being overly medicated in psych wards next to the men and women of the worst generations being administered lethal injections for spreading false rumors that instigated violence without any remorse, that ended up stopping the lives of many, many innocents. So where the comparison there was that the natural gossiping nature of people being subjected to the rather the innocent white lie gossip of individuals being directly comparative in treatments to the most heinous of criminals that did so with terrible intentions. So, where the habitual liars and attention whores and rebellious who just wanted to watch the world burn being given the same, effectively the same treatment as those who were just ignorant of certain things and just needed guidance counseling. People who needed guidance counseling being subjected to the psychological warfare and medicinal negative reinforcement and alteration as criminals being branded with the death sentence for their utterly heinous crimes with that came with the worst of intentions. These people with innocent intentions being subjected to the same. So to that note, I'll try to wrap it up here for today. Therapy wasn't made for good people. It was made for the worst of the worst among people. And pretty much anyone recommending therapy is basically saying, hey, you should / deserve to be put in prison until major mental changes and alterations have occurred permanently, right? So, yeah, just think of it like that. Hey, you should totally go into therapy. You should start therapy. You should listen to a therapist, right? Oh, so you believe I'm a criminal that deserves to be in prison. Just take note of that. Anyone trying to get you in with a therapist believes that you are so mentally screwed up that you should genuinely be rotting in a prison somewhere until further notice. Hey, you should do therapy. You should rot in prison until something is changed. Something big about you has changed because everything about you is not good. Hey, you might need a little counseling for that. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't that. You might need a little counseling. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Oh, yeah, I probably agree with you. I may not be thinking right now. I might need a little help working it out, getting guidance with a guidance counselor, getting my aspirations, the resource connected with the particular resources to help me be a better person. You're right. I probably do need a little counseling with a counselor, right? So, yeah, that's that. That'll be today's hot take hump day for you. Therapy wasn't meant for good people. It was meant for the worst of the worst amongst the good people. And yeah, that's just me, your Millennium Mailman, on this fine, wacky Wednesday, or rather, hot take hump day. That's just me. If you like or agree with anything I had to say, by all means, like the video and let me know. If you have any particular thoughts, comments, or concerns, go ahead down in the comment section down below. If you are a therapist yourself or a counselor listening in, give me your, well, not necessarily put down your thoughts and opinions as well in the comment section down below, and let the other, so that anyone digging through the comment section and sifting through like that one guy in a group chat not saying anything. Put down your professional therapeutic or counseling opinions down below as well, to let them know that you agree or disagree with anything said here in this video. And for all of you, by all means, share the video if you think this conversation should be expounded upon with or by other people and talked about a little more. And by all means, subscribe. Subscribe and don't hit the bell to be notified of future videos. Just to let me know that, hey, you like the idea of my book and look forward to me finally publicizing my book. And subscribe to the video and press that bell icon if you think, yeah, I want to hear more of this wacko debater, devil's advocate person some more than I already have. And until next time, I don't think I should have started it like that. And of course, I will be posting more of my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas from this world of millennia as your millennium mailman faster than you can see the gears turning that way.